Yo yo, it's Clown from BrewBru here, and it is brew day. So today we're going to be doing a wee lager. So lager sometimes a little bit tricky. Everyone thinks, I can brew a lager when you first start getting into home brewing, but actually it's quite tricky because of the precise temperature control, because it takes just that little bit longer. So in keeping with the current times, and I know this is growing a little bit old, but I am going to be brewing a Corona. Not just because of coronavirus and COVID-19 and hence the hairstyle and everything, but because it's actually my wife's favourite lager. So I thought, why not brew one up? I quite like a nice crisp, cool lager in the summer as well. So I thought we'll do that today. But little twist today is we're going to do the brewlosophy method. Now I call it the brewlosophy method. You can Google it, brewlosophy lager, and you'll find the article. Now these guys don't profess that this is just their work. They do attribute some other guys that have done this years ago. But basically the simple idea is that you really control temperatures quite strictly. So you maintain a kind of fairly steady lager fermentation temperature, so kind of between 10-13 degrees for around about 50% of the attenuation, and then you kind of go in quite quick steps to increase that, so you get your diacetyl rest, and then once you've fully fermented, then you crash it down, and you can do that really quickly, or you can do it gradually as well. I'll probably do it fairly gradually, I think, although I've got a little bit of complication which I'll come to later on in the video, but that's the idea. So without further ado, I've got my kettle here, my RoboBrew. It's just coming up to temperature just now, so we'll get the mash, we'll get the grain in there, we'll get it mashed in and take it on to the next steps. So join me. So let's mash in. So we've got all our grain bills sorted out. I've lost my little rubber bung that goes on the top here, but I've kind of managed to, I've used one of those little nipple things that go on the taps to stop beasties getting up it, so I've used one of them for just now. So we'll get our grain bill mashed in and away we go. Mash in complete. So our mash temperature is, just checking, 65 degrees for 60 minutes. So check back in a jiffy. We're back. So mash in complete. So it's 60 minutes. In fact, look at that. Bang on time. So what we're going to do is we've got our sparge water heating up here. So we're more or less at temperature, so our sparge water is 75 degrees, so we're just coming up to temperature there. So what we're going to do is just lift this bad boy out, so we'll crank the pump off first of all, and get our lid off. Okay, lid off, and then we're just going to swing this out of the way. Drain a little bit. Okay, swing it out of the way. Stick the arm back on. Now I do have a winch that I sometimes use for this, but I'm feeling strong today, so I'm just going to lift it. I'm not feeling strong. I can't get it in. Just twist that. Okay, so up and turn. There we go. So we'll just leave that for a wee while. By the time that top water's come down, our sparge water will be ready and we'll sparge away. So tune back. In fact, don't tune back, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Sparge time. So we've got 2 litres of water, nice and steamy, 75 degrees. So all I'm going to do is just pour this in. Can actually probably afford to put a little bit more than 2 litres in because it's drained quite well down. So I'm probably going to put 4 litres in, wait for that to drain, keep on doing that. How much sparge water have we got? About 14, 15 litres. I'm sweating, not because of like this effort. I've been multitasking, cutting the grass at the same time. So we'll keep doing this, and then we'll get the boil on, okay? Welcome back. So, sparge complete. So we ended up, I told you a wee porcupie before actually when I said it was like 14.9, 14, 15 litres. That was actually the mash volume. So we were supposed to sparge in over 20 litres. Now, I only put in 16 and actually probably didn't even need the full 16. So I'm up to 28 litres pre-boil here. It was just a little bit kind of more than what I was wanting. I was probably looking for around about 27. Well, that's fine. We'll work with that. All that will end up happening is obviously we'll have a kind of slightly lower ABV lager, but that's okay. So what we've done is we've cranked the heaters up on this, so we're just waiting for this to come up to the boil. We've got our hops ready, so they're ready to pitch in, and we're ready to rock and roll. Let's go. I thought you might want to join me for this exciting moment. Ooh. I don't know why I always get so excited as it comes to the boil, but there's just something like, boom, it's just a pinnacle, isn't it? So anyway, we're, just ignore that, So we're almost there. Temperature is 99 degrees. And we're starting to get a nice little head on it. I really like the colour this is looking actually. I don't know if you can see it or not. I don't know what kind of dip anything in here. In fact, let me just take a little sample. Put it in a jar. I'll even put it in a jar for you YouTubers, right? Don't say I'm not bad to you. Jar. So we're just taking a little wee drop out. But it's just like such a lovely light colour in it. Just lager colours, just what you want. So we can actually fire that bag in there, because that's all going to boil up anyway, so that'll all be good. Waste not, want not, eh? So we're just about to come to the boil. I was maybe a little bit premature in joining you, calling you all back here, sorry. Tell you what. Take a quick break and come back now, Jeff. I'm giving you a better angle. So, yeah, we're almost there now. So, really important, you probably heard me saying this before, but as you kind of come to this boil point, kind of the protein break, the hop break, just keep a super careful eye on it. Okay, hawk eyes on this, because what you don't want is a boil over. Bad boil over, right? So, a boil over will just, it won't ruin your beer, right? But it's going to mess up your kitchen, your garage, wherever you're brewing. So just keep a close eye on it. So as it comes to the boil, you'll see that all these proteins basically kind of come up to the surface, and they'll just foam up massively. Now the best way of being able to control this is you can obviously crank the heat down a little bit. In my good old RoboBrew, don't have to worry too much because it's temperature regulated. At 102 degrees, which I find is pretty much bang on temperature for getting a nice rolling boil. And all I normally do is just give it a stir. So as those kind of proteins start to break down, you'll find that all that foam will start to dissipate, and then you will just get a lovely rolling boil. So yeah, just keep a close eye on it. Give it a stir if it needs it. It might not need it. It really depends on how much grain you've got in here. Now the grain bill here is not massive because it's not going to be a particularly strong lager, so we might not get a huge hot break. But just keep an eye on it, okay? So we're just coming to boil, and that's kind of what you want. Maybe a little bit more vicious than that. So we're still at 100 degrees actually, so we've still got a little bit more to come through. But that kind of rolling effect, that's exactly what you want. So I'm going to fire my hops in. So I've got my hops in a little hop bag. So I'm going to chuck them in there. I normally just clip this on here. It means that when I get to my next set of hops, I can just stick them in the bag as well. It saves it all kind of going down into the bottom of the bottle of kettle as well. So fire that in there. So we'll leave that for an hour. Of course, we've got some important things to do before then, so it won't be an hour. So just come back shortly and we'll talk you through next steps. Okay. Welcome back. So 15 minutes left in the boil. So what we've got to do now is fire in our next set of hops. So we've got these all measured out already. Now there's also some lime to go in at 50 minutes. Now it's 25 grams of lime peel is what you need. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit ill prepared and I only had one lime in the house. However, I have got some lime segments that have been squeezed. So I kind of make a little fruit juice every week. So I tend to keep all the citrus and fire it in the freezer. So these have been frozen. So I'm hoping this will kind of give us the same sort of effect. So I'm just going to fire that in with our hops as well. Get all that peel out of there and crank that in. I'm also going to fire in a little drop of Protoflock or Irish moss. So stick in just 1/4 teaspoon, doesn't need much at all. And we'll also get our kind of floor chiller in, so we'll get this in as well, and that'll just sanitize that, ready for when we have to cool it down. So I'll drop the Irish moss, I'll fire that in, and then we'll come back once we're at flame out. As you can see, ooh, that was a bit high. Where'd that come from? As you can see, we've got our chiller in now, so our flame is out, and we're just trying to cool it down. So our post-boil volume was just above 25 litres actually, so that kind of 28 litres was probably about bang on actually. We lost about 3 litres in the boil, which is quite interesting. So that should give us just over 23 litres when it comes to getting that into our fermentation vessel, which is pretty nice. So we're just waiting for this to cool down now, so we just got to wait, be patient. And because this is a lager, obviously we want to get it right down, so we're wanting to get it down to probably 13 degrees, I think I would be happier with, and then we can get our yeast pitched in. So just wait. Well, I have to wait, you don't. Is this getting funny yet? No? Okay. I thought I'd take you back down to head height for this bit. Gets a bit dizzy up there. So this is my yeast. I've made a starter. So I've had this on the go, so it's Saturday today. Wednesday night, I started the starter off, pitched some liquid yeast that I'd harvested previously, so I put that in there. On the Thursday night, I topped it up, so I made another litre of wort, stuck it in, and just kind of gave it another bit of a boost. So really good kind of amount of yeast in there. There was such a big krausen on it. I was so glad that I put it in this 1 gallon container rather than just the 2 litre container that I normally use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of take a good chunk of this wort away, just so we don't get any kind of off flavours from this dry malt extract that I've used, because I think it was a medium one, which is why it's kind of a little bit darker. So I'm going to try and keep as much of this yeast cake as I can at the bottom. I'll leave a little bit in it so I can kind of mix it. So I'm going to go away and do that, and then we'll get this pitched in, okay? So that's where yeast. So we'll give it just a good stir up, get that yeast cake kind of all ready to rock. Now this has been in the fridge obviously to let it sink. It will not matter pitching this cold yeast into our wort. It's far better doing that rather than have it warm going into cold and having to adjust. So the yeast will happily come up to temperature as it normally would if you were kind of putting dry yeast or a yeast pack in. It's quite happy with that. So I'm just going to fire this in here as well. Okay, and so we're just waiting for the rest of this. So this is coming quite nicely. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to crank that tap off, because I'm going to take a sample so we can take OG reading. OG is 1043, I'm going to say. Now, the original recipe was 1060. The guy that brewed it got 1046. Now, if you remember, we did actually have kind of more pre-boil volume than what I wanted, so that'll explain kind of slight difference in gravity. So 1046, I'm kind of fairly happy with that, and actually it's looking quite nice, lovely colour. It's looking relatively clear considering. So what I'm going to do is get this oxygenated. Now what I probably should have done is oxygenated before I put the yeast in, but it shouldn't make too much difference. We'll see. But yeah, I should have kind of cranked the oxygen in there first. So watch how I do oxygen. Shh. I've pinched my wife's whisk. So, good old electric whisk, right? So this has been dunked in Star San. So it's just been Star San out. And all we'll do is just crack it in. Woo! All you do is probably 30 seconds, 60 seconds max. You'll see this will kind of give it a good oxygenation. We'll get loads and loads of oxygen in there, and that'll start firing up. I would say within 24 hours, hopefully, we'll get some yeast. And that's it. So just take it out. It's nice and easy, simple, quick, straightforward. Nice. I've got my fermenter now in my fermentation chamber, aka fridge. Fridge that doesn't work, by the way. So what I've got is I've got some ice blocks in here. I'll probably move them. I'll just try and keep it cool. And I've also got my sight glass on here because I'm wanting to harvest some of the yeast in here. So this is a ep8. And yeah, I'm wanting to harvest some of the yeast. So Got this all cranked up, ready to go. So we just got to wait, keep it down to temperature actually, and see how it goes. Yo, so 24 hours afterwards, we've got bubbles in our fermenter. Temperature is down at around about 13 degrees. Because it's been a little bit warm, so what I've done is just put some ice packs top and bottom, and that's just helping keep the fridge nice and cool, because it's not a working fridge, it's just a fermentation thing. So what we're going to do, according to Brewlosophy, they say if your OG is below 1060, then ferment at this temperature to get 50% attenuation between 4 and 7 days. So I'm going to leave it for, yeah, probably 5-6 days, and then we'll take next steps. So come back. Welcome back. I've had a haircut. I cut my own hair, can you believe it? Anyway, we're here to talk about lager. So following the Brewlosophy method, I've been cranking up my my refrigeration fermentation fridge chamber thing around about 2 degrees every 12 hours. So that's around about 4 or 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius, if you're in the UK, it tends to be preferred, but there you go. So just been cranking it up and keeping an eye on it until it's fully fermented out. So our temperature, as you can see, is 18.8 now. So it's kind of thereabouts. It's set at 20 degrees. So that's kind of maximum we're going to put it now. So now we just got to leave it for kind of between 4 and 6 days, basically until fermentation completes. So we just need to keep an eye on it now. Howdy doody peoples. So got a bit of an apology to make, because for some reason I decided that clips that you've just been watching was the end of the story, but of course it wasn't, because I went on to lager that Corona and went on to drink it. I can tell you it was delicious. It was a really good lager, so refreshing. One thing I would change in the next time is I put in more lime. So there was definitely a hint of lime come through in it, and it was really tasty, but just a little bit more would be amazing. So try it out. The Brewlosophy method, in my opinion, works. The beer was lovely and clear. Just keep it cool, obviously. Stick it in a fridge as low temperature as you can get once your fermentation is finished. Leave it there for a wee while, but yeah, Brewlosophy method, I would say within 4 or 5 weeks, we had really good lager, so refreshing. A bit of a pain in the height of summer trying to make a lager, that is the only thing. Trying to keep that fermentation chamber low enough at the low enough temperature in those early days was a bit of a struggle, hence the ice packs and everything. So I would brew again that same recipe, like I say, a little bit more lime in it. And the one thing is just do it in the back end. So do it like in the fall, you Americans call it, or in the winter. It's far easier to maintain temperature. But otherwise, enjoy, and thanks for watching, guys.